Operation Barnabas.
For a congregation to get started, I think it's important to consider regular or frequent prayers for military-connected people, especially in the congregation, but also to include those who are in the community. To include service members in the newsletter, and especially to maintain contact with any deployed service members. You may want to conduct a vet recognition ceremony, such on Veterans Day or Memorial Day, or perhaps a special service in honoring them. Some congregations have not only included veterans, but also first responders in an appreciation service or ceremony. There are service members. A congregation may also consider utilizing a little ritual for sending or receiving service members who may be deployed or coming back from deployment. You may want to participate or publicize or engage in community veteran events. You may want to consider establishing a static display, which means some kind of display in the narthex or hallway of veterans who are serving currently or in the past, and perhaps sending a care package. These are all just some examples of how a congregation may get started with Operation Barnabas. The key thing I want to stress is that the key is in developing relationships internally within the congregation and within the community. Sometimes I'll ask a congregation, if I'm addressing a large group, for all of those who have served in the military or are serving to stand up, and maybe a half dozen or a dozen will rise. I'll then ask for those who are family members of service members to stand up, and maybe half the congregation stands up. When we talk about Operation Barnabas in a congregation, it's important that the key is in developing relationships internally within the congregation and also in the community. Most congregations have members who either are or know of a veteran in their own sphere of relationships. I call that the web of connectedness. There's a tremendous opportunity of outreach just utilizing the relationships that members have in their own lives. Not only do we need to focus on developing good relationships, but also to assess veteran needs by listening. Listening is critical. Is there a need for a grief support group, perhaps? Is there a need to help with depression? Or maybe is there a need for funeral support? These are all elements of our being connected with people and with entities within our community. These are all opportunities for us to bring the love of God into the lives of others through our relationships. When we talk about Operation Barnabas and its development within a congregation, as I mentioned earlier, it's important to identify veterans and their spouses, both past and present, within our congregation and within our communities. There are often relatives of vets and service members that are right next door to us. Next is to identify Veterans Administration and civilian medical facilities. There are VA hospitals and clinics scattered throughout our communities. There are also many domiciliary care facilities for veterans. Identifying where those is an important step in developing Operation Barnabas, an Operation Barnabas effort. Identifying veteran-centered community and auxiliary organizations is important. As I mentioned, the VA Developing an Operation Barnabas effort includes not only identifying vet-centered community and auxiliary organizations, but also some of the work that they do within the community. The VA often works in the community in helping to develop programs that help support veterans. There are also honor flight support opportunities. There's the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Wars. There are often many other local veterans groups that a congregation may partner with. So a congregation may want to consider partnering with other congregations in their area in developing support. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's very common for successful Operation Barnabas congregations and chapters to partner with other community organizations in caring for military-connected people. Okay. Another opportunity a congregation may want to consider in developing an Operation Barnabas outreach to military-connected folks is a program through Lutheran Church Charities called the Comfort Dog Ministry. There are specially trained canine military dogs that are utilized in caring for veterans and service members in local communities. This is something that is carried out very successfully and is a good entree for helping to develop a relationship with veterans and service members in their community. Other centers of care may be considered, such as independent and assisted living centers, rehab and nursing care facilities, adult daycare centers. Hospices often are looking for people to support those who are in their program who are veterans, and community social services as well. Basically, Operation Barnabas is building bridges through relationships that are characterized with respect, knowing that the family is important and often overlooked, in understanding the hierarchy in the military, and understanding the military's mission and purpose. It is understood that gifts that one could give to a veteran is to be a friend. In Army terms, it's a battle buddy. In Navy terms, it's a shipmate. In Air Force terms, it's a wingman. Being a friend is a critical component of caring for a veteran and their family. Give them a job or a task. Oftentimes, veterans don't want to attend meetings. They want something to do. Very often, they want to give back. And so engaging them in a task or giving them a purpose can be very helpful. You might want to invite them to a study. And when they're ready, inviting them to a worship service. As I mentioned in the early part of this presentation, the whole motivation of Operation Barnabas, our reason for being, is that Operation Barnabas is a faith response. It is a joyful response of what God has done for me in demonstrating his love through Jesus Christ. And so it is that Operation Barnabas is God's love working through us. And part of that working through us is to help identify the needs of those in our community. There may be, for example, homeless vets. There may be a need for child care. We need to understand also that female service members, their experience of serving in the military is different. They need the support, some supports that are a little bit different than a male member of our veteran community. There are single soldiers who face some unique challenges. Transportation to clinics. Parent education may be a need if you're located near a post. There may be needs for visits to VA patients or care packages. There may be a need for spousal support. hospitality. It's important to communicate with our veterans and service members. The key component, again, is being a friend who cares. As we identify unique needs in our community, it's also important to develop services and supports that meet those needs that are identified. I mentioned, for example, transportation, or childcare, or housing, keeping in touch through correspondence. There may be a need for job or employment assistance. And as I alluded to earlier, welcoming back the single soldier. Engaging veterans and their family members as we identify needs and as we seek to develop supports and services that serve veterans and their families. It's also important to partner with others. There are many other entities in our communities that we can partner with to be successful in developing services and supports. The VA, for example. There are various veterans groups. There are local reserve units, such as a family readiness group. There are community merchants. Community merchants often seek to aid the veteran population. There are other church groups. There are other social ministry organizations. And there are local service agencies. In summary, we celebrate God's love and mercy as His family in developing relationships that are non-judgmental and that are other-focused. We're responding to God's love in Jesus Christ for us in bearing one another's burdens and in sharing the joy of Jesus Christ. Some of the resources the Ministry of the Armed Forces provides through Operation Barnabas is a monthly newsletter called the WARNO. WARNO stands for Warning Order and is intended for use by Operation Barnabas chapters and congregations in the conduct of their ministry. You may also connect with Operation Barnabas, connect with other resources for Operation Barnabas through the website www.lcms.org/Operation Barnabas. Look in the Help from Congregations View Resources section, and you'll find many different kinds of aids to help a congregation in Operation Barnabas. My email, I can be reached by email through Gary, Gary, DANIELSEN @lcms.org, or my cell phone number at 404-862-3345. So in summary, who are our neighbors? Who is our family? Men and women of the armed forces and their families, and our community. God's love works through us. In Jesus' name, thank you.